How's it going? So, today we're going to be talking about being mistreated, or someone being mean, or other people being mean. And first off, we're going to go with the verse, because I think that would be a great way to start any video off. So, Proverbs 29, verse 25. The fear of man brings a snare, but he who trusts in the Lord will be exalted. And so why I bring this up is because a lot of times you might meet people who are not very nice, or not very careful in their attitude, and not very, one second, Jude, there we go. So sometimes you can meet people who are very, very rude, or calloused, or uncaring in what they say. And what I wanted to share is, me and my family, we have this saying, put yourself in their shoes. And usually it means try to look at their life from their circumstances. And it's not to say put yourself in their shoes and make up a scenario that's like, oh, they're having a very bad year or something like that. It's like, he might be late to work, and he might be stressed. Or the guy who cuts you off on the road, right? Oh, he probably needs to use the restroom. Or, whatever. Make up a scenario in your head that makes someone being mean to you, like, not on a regular basis, but like those weird off moments where, like, you're talking to the cashier and you can tell they're having a bad day and they don't care about how they make others feel. What I said to one person was, because we were talking, and she was a front desk clerk at one of the old folks' homes, and she was like, yeah, some people can be really mean. And I'm like, well, the thing is a lot of people are carrying around a lot of pain from other people hurting them. And genuinely, sometimes people are just mean because they're hurt on the inside. Most times, they don't know how to deal with that pain. Now, as Christ believers, we give the pain, we give the sorrow, we give forgiveness to those who have wronged us, but also we give those feelings to God. We try to direct him to the hurt in our heart, right? So with that being said, let me see, joyful heart. This is actually very interesting. Proverbs 7:22 says, a joyful heart brings good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Now, it's not necessarily what I was talking about, but in a way it was. If someone has a crushed spirit, they're not going to feel good on the inside. They're not going to be like, the least of their worries is what you feel after the conversation, right? I know there's more. Second, let's say bad attitude. Let's see what happens. Okay. Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So I mean, of course, these are things we know, they're not good for us, but also we're supposed to forgive those who wrong us. Actually, I'm gonna find a verse that says that, because it's true, and it's a great way to live. Forgive those who wrong us. Okay. Colossians 3:13, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so that you also must forgive. I'll read that again. Bearing with one another bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Matthew 6, 14 through 15, it says, for if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. So, forgive others. It can be hard, but there's so much bang for buck in your own peace, and you have to worry about your peace. Your peace is a blessing from God. And if you are careless, if you're careless with your peace, you can give your peace to other people. Okay, that sounds wrong. If you're careless with your peace, then very possibly you might lose your peace, because not everyone worries about your peace. They worry about their peace, right? But we as Christians can do both. We can worry about our peace and what other people feel after our conversations. Do they feel blessed? Hopefully, like every time I make a video, I worry very much that I pray that it lands on someone's heart in the proper way. And the Lord really has brought it to the right people, I feel like. So, but yeah, let me see what else. What else is there? I love Proverbs, like I said, bang for the buck on wisdom. So if you ever feel like you need a little bit of, just quick wisdom, go through Proverbs. It's such a lovely book. You should really go into it and research it. But yeah, okay. And in Luke 6:37. So chapter 6, verse 37. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. That's what we all want, right? We all don't want to be judged. We all don't want to be condemned. And we all want to be forgiven, right? Those are all lovely things that we all want. And I just wanted to share that one too, because I've been in situations where I've judged people, and then God automatically shares what it'd be like to be judged in that way. And it's so eye-opening. And I'm actually grateful to God for doing that, because it opens my eyes to their situation much more. And that's what we should really strive to do, put ourselves in other people's situations so that we can feel compassion, which is, I do believe, let me see. I think compassion is a fruit of the Spirit, but I'm going to check. I don't think so. Wait, no. Compassion, fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit. Yeah, I think it is actually. Yeah, compassion is a fruit of the Spirit. I'm pretty sure. Love, peace, joy. No, it isn't. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. So there's not compassion. However, wait, I missed some. So there's a complete thing. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Such things there is no law. Okay, 1 second. There is compassion in something. In one of the ways we're supposed to act and walk as Christians. Compassion. Compassion on them because they're like sheep without a shepherd. No. Actually, okay. Mark 6:34, it says, when he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. So this is actually talking about the heart of Jesus, how he has compassion, and we are supposed to mimic Jesus as much as we can in our ways and in how we act toward one another. So having compassion, trying to understand from the point of view of another, and I think that makes someone a very lovely servant of God. I think that helps a lot. And then Colossians 3:12 through 13 says, put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. So that kind of brought up a verse that I had read before, but it also explained the thing I was hoping to explain. So compassion is a very beautiful, very strong tool as a Christian, and it's hard to do sometimes. But okay, how could I? Okay, there's a couple tricks that my mom and dad taught me from young. This is how they helped me learn compassion. So the saying, put your feet in their shoes. And they did it in a very literal way. They taught me this in a very literal way. Me and my brother were having like little spats and fights about me wearing his shirt or some odd thing, but my mom was like, okay, now wear his shoes. And I was like, what? And then I was like, I didn't want his shoes, I wanted his shirt, something like that, and then so I wore his shoes. I was like, they don't fit. She's like, yes. And then I took them off, and she's like, you need to put on other people's shoes to understand. It's a metaphor. You need to put on other people's shoes to understand how they walk. We all walk differently. We all have different walks. We have different parameters that God has set over our lives. And genuinely, I believe that compassion is something that can be learned, and I think it's also kind of a gift from the Spirit, which we can pray for. So when someone is mean to you, try to have compassion. Don't get too worried. What they say isn't the end all. Usually, God has a plan for them too. Actually, no, 100%. Everyone on this earth, even if you get upset sometimes, even if you whatever, doesn't matter. God has a plan, and you're very special to him. But the fact of the matter is, God also forgives them, okay? Even if they yell at their son or daughter, at God's son or daughter, right? So, okay, I guess to truncate this, what I would say is compassion can be learned and is a very useful tool in de-escalating uncomfortable situations by humbling yourself to understanding where they're coming from. See, compassion and humility walk hand in hand, because if you stay on a particular understanding, you'll never understand where they're coming from. Therefore, you can never truly understand why you might have upset them. So this is more into like family issues, but there are situations where you don't have that time to do that, but rather what helps me is making up scenarios that are usually outlandish and never would stick on a real situation, more like just to make it easier on my mind, right? So like someone swerves past me, just drives reckless, instead of going like, oh my gosh, he could have gotten into an accident and then I would have gotten hurt, or like, oh my gosh, doesn't he see that I'm going safe, I'm driving safe? it's not that. Who knows? He might need to use the restroom. Who knows? He might be really late to work, and this is like his final time to actually get to work on time. Who knows? He might be going to the ER for his family. You know, literally, you don't know the circumstances of other people's lives. So live in that understanding that you don't know, and that takes humility. Because a lot of people don't know they're doing things that hurt people when they're doing them. It takes a lot of past tense to realize, oh, that was cruel, or oh, that was unfair, or I was rather unjust when I said that, or actually they're very supportive. I can't believe I said that they weren't, you know. So I'm gonna break the video off here, but I think I've shared what God wanted me to share. Yeah, okay. God bless. I hope I see you guys. Oh, actually, one thing, I took down my last two videos, because I really wanted to make them, and I will remake them. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think it was time for me to make them, because I couldn't find the correct verses that properly suited it, and I wanted it more to talk. I wanted more of the Bible in it. I wanted to redo it to where it's mostly the Bible explaining the issues of depression and anxiety. So if you need that, that will be coming out soon. But the fact of the matter is, I just didn't feel like it really pointed toward God as much as it needed to. So so I took it down because it felt like God was urging me to do that. So so yeah, but I will be coming out with another one at some point in time where when I feel like God is really, really calling me to do that. But anyway, God bless you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. I can't wait to see you in heaven. And all right, bye bye.